House 2024 coverage tonight. Earlier today, Governor Noem had her first interview following her meeting with former President Trump. That interview was with the South Dakota Broadcasters Association.
The interview with Governor Noem briefly acknowledged her name on Trump's vice presidential shortlist, but the bigger discussion pertained several topics that have been covered this legislative session in South Dakota.
The budget was really important to me this year. We spent a lot of time preparing for our budget request and making sure that we were making wise decisions with where we were putting people's dollars to make sure that it was going to benefit South Dakota in the long term.
These budgets primarily focus on state employees, education, and care providers. Noem stated that she added a 4% increase this year and that if there was additional funds left over, she would put it towards South Dakota prison facilities, an improvement she's seen a need for since her first term.
I could not believe that we had facilities that were so outdated and that we had people in those conditions. And one of our prison facilities needs upgrades or to be rebuilt. And the fact that this legislature has recognized that priority, I'm incredibly grateful for.
The upgrades Noem looks to provide include counseling services as well as workforce training for inmates. Moving to her stance on SB 201 and the future of carbon dioxide pipelines in South Dakota, Noem says she still stands firm with landowners.
I think that we in the state need to continue to protect our private property rights. I haven't seen their most recent language. I know they've still got amendments that they're proposing. I did talk to some of the leadership team this morning on how that's going. We'll see what ends up making it to my desk.
And a closer look at Noem's concern at the southern border and how she says it's striking huge impacts in South Dakota, specifically with our tribes. She spoke out about the cold response she received from Oglala Sioux Tribe President Frank Starr Comes Out.
I'm not certain why he reacted the way that he did. I only spoke the truth. I think people need to really understand the devastating effects of what's happening at our southern border and how it is impacting us here in South Dakota. The fact that those cartels are in our tribal reservation areas and that I have no jurisdiction there.
While Governor Noem says she looks forward to finishing out her term, the question of that happening now remains up in the air. This following last week's announcement that she's one of the 5 names listed on Donald Trump's shortlist for vice president. She didn't go into details about their brief one-on-one meeting at Mar-a-Lago, but she spoke on how she looks to support him.
Every day I'm in this office, I'm fighting federal government regulation and persecution over the way that we have protected our way of life in South Dakota. So that really is whatever I can do to help him win. He knows that I'm there and engaged and will be helpful.
If selected as Trump's running mate for the 2024 election, Noem reassures that South Dakota Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden is prepared to step into the role of governor at any time. And she says her hope is that South Dakotans will remember how hard she worked every day to help South Dakota be successful for its residents.
When I first got elected, someone gave me a clock that sat on my desk that was a countdown of the amount of time that I had in office. So I'm well aware that every day that passes is another day I don't get the chance to do this job over. I don't want to look back at it and wish that I would have done more.